If you're looking at all the genres of music and you're like what the fuck's the difference between melodic house and progressive house, or even funky disco and new disco, or R&B and hip hop, then keep watching, as perhaps there's a simpler way to look at it. So in this video, I'm going to start by giving you a different way of looking at music genres so you're not going to get overwhelmed by all the subtle differences of each subgenre. I'm also going to give you some ideas on picking the right genre for you based on your goals, and I'm going to cover how you can master playing several different genres whilst also staying true to your sound. Plus, I'm also going to give you some examples of what music genres go well together and the types of parties and events where it's okay to cross genres and the kind of events where it's absolutely not. Plus, I'm going to demystify the best way for you to make progress quickly so you can mix any genre with effortless ease, even if it's your first ever time playing that genre. Now, before jumping into the subtle differences between each genre of music and how you can learn to effectively play them all by mastering certain categories where I batch them, you'll see it's coming up. Let's first of all just take a backward step and first off figure out what genre of music that you're resonating with. Now, the answer to this is going to depend heavily on your goals, like what kind of genre do you want to play as a DJ? So ask yourself now, why are you learning to DJ? Now, for some people it may be purely as a creative outlet, in which case I suggest finding like a genre or DJ that you resonate with and using them for inspiration. Now, I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that in 1 minute, so stick around. But other people may want to learn to DJ to actually do function work, which is probably mainly going to involve doing vocal-driven music and being flexible based on what the crowd at each event is wanting and responding to. However, other people may want to be a club DJ, which is probably going to mean going to clubs, getting some inspiration, seeing what other DJs in your local scene are playing, and just check out what people are responding to. Or perhaps you may even go to clubs and see a gap in the market for a specific type of event in your area, and you want to learn to DJ a particular genre to start your own event to fill a niche. Now, personally, that's how I got started, and my first ever DJ gig was the grand opening of my own club, which then went on to run every single Friday night at a notorious nightclub in King's Cross, Sydney for over a decade, in which time I quit my full-time job, I became a full-time club promoter, and at one stage I actually I had like events in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, and I was flying between gigs every single weekend, which no doubt this was an amazing time of my life. But honestly, I've digressed. It shouldn't be about me. But if you are interested in my story, I did a video on that some time ago, so I'll link that in now. Anyway, once you know why you want to DJ and ideally have goals that excite and motivate you to take action, then the first step probably is choosing the right genre for your goals. Now, you can do this in three main ways, okay? Through researching music, researching by artist, or even researching events. Now, personally, I think the easiest way to identify which genre is what and which genre you resonate most with is probably to go to beatport.com, skim through some tracks in the top 100 and see what genres appeal to you. And then basically you can go to the genres tab in Beatport, you can actually select that genre, and then you could probably find 20 or 30 tracks within that genre and just basically start mixing. Now, I'm going to talk about crossing genres in a minute, but if you're a beginner, man, it's going to be way easier to start with one genre, okay? And if you really are new to DJing, it's probably like going to be a lot easier playing one genre, grabbing 20, 30 songs of that same genre, and ideally have them all around the same BPM. And honestly, if you do that, man, you could be mixing fairly quickly, and you'd also be setting up some very valuable foundations instead of hitting the effects, trying to cross genres, doing too much too soon. You've got to ease into that. Now, also when researching a particular genre, you might find a particular artist that you resonate with. So for instance, let's say you're into new disco, you're going to discover that Purple Disco Machine are one of the top DJs and producers of that genre, in which case you could dive deeper, and instead of searching by genre, you could start researching the artists that you're resonating with by Googling the artist's name, which honestly, that in itself will usually show you what genres that artist specializes in, which is going to give you an idea of also what genres go well with that genre as well, okay? And if you want to dive even deeper into what that artist actually playing when they play live, you can go to 1001tracklist.com, okay? And you type in the name of the artist, and if the artist is big enough, there should be track lists for the exact tracks that DJ played in that exact order with timestamps, so you even know how much of each song they're playing and where their transitions occur. And honestly, to know all that can actually be really useful. So for instance, let's say you wanted to copy a DJ and figure out how they played, okay? You could download the exact tracks that they use when they played live or whatever, listen for the transition points, and then even try to reproduce their set in your own way. Now, honestly, that is a really interesting exercise, but what you're gonna quickly realize is a lot of the biggest DJs in the world probably aren't doing anything that fancy. They're more focused on flawless transitions, the flow, and the atmosphere that they're creating through impeccable track selection. Anyway, the final way to figure out what genre you like is to go to events and festivals and just bust out the Shazam app on your phone. And so let's say you hear a track and you're like, yep, Shazam it. And then later you can research that track and find out what genre it is, and then you can dive deeper into that genre or artist, basically using the steps I just explained. However, all that being said, okay, let's say you're into more vocal driven music like pop, R&B, hip hop, then perhaps you want to check out DJ pools like BPM Supreme or DJ City. And you could also do a lot of research for pop music, maybe using Spotify, Apple Music, or even checking out the top 40 for the past 40 years, okay? You're gonna wanna have a lot of music, even Google floor fillers, see what comes up. This now leads to knowing the subtle differences between each genre and then which genres you can mix with what. So straight up, learning the subtleties of each music genre is not expected from you. And to make things easy on you, honestly, I feel you can actually put most genres right into 3 main categories. And what I mean by this is, there are usually different ways to mix certain genres. And once you master one category, which I'm about to explain, you can apply those skills to all the genres within that category. Now, I honestly find batching music genres makes it more approachable and way less overwhelming. And 100%, I'm not saying melodic house and techno is mixed exactly the same way as peak techno, but the skills needed to mix both are similar. So let's jump into the categories. So number 1, the deeper kinds of house, which refers to deep, tech, minimal, techno, melodic, progressive, trance, psy, and any genre really where the transitions tend to be more drawn out in their nature. Okay, then number 2, the heavier styles of dance music, which refers to big room, drum and bass, hard style, dubstep, and any genre that tends to have clearly defined parts. So for instance, big heavy drops, usually followed by breakdowns and build-ups and maybe a second drop, sometimes heavier. But the thing to note when mixing the heavier genres is it's really about creating energy and playing the best parts of each track to create energy, but also being mindful of flowing between heavier and sometimes more soulful hands in the air style moments, so your audience doesn't get tired, okay? It's creating that dynamic in the way that you mix. It's actually pretty cool. And then number 3, mixing vocal driven music, which includes pop, R&B, hip hop, and anything where vocals dominate. Now the good news is, okay, once you've learned how to mix one particular category, you can honestly then apply all those skills to all the subgenres within that category. Now, sure, okay, there's going to be some moments when you have to mix quicker to avoid vocals on vocals, and some subgenres of house, for instance, may require longer, more drawn out transitions. So for instance, techno transitions will be a lot more drawn out than tech house, okay? But let's say you master melodic house and techno. Honestly, you could pretty much apply those exact same skills to mixing progressive house. So for instance, right, many of you may have seen my past videos where I'm mixing genres for the very first time, yet despite all the odds and sometimes obstacles I've even placed on myself. So for instance, it's the first time I'm playing a genre and I'm covering the screens up just to make it interesting for you. But I've still pulled off pro sounding sets, and all of this because I'm basically applying the skills that I teach to all my students in my course to other genres of music within that category. And I'm certain once you know how to DJ a particular category, you can apply those techniques and knowledge to all subgenres within that same category. The truth is, right, once you know how to mix the deeper kinds of house, the heavier styles of dance, and vocal driven music, which is all covered in my course, okay? You're gonna be able to mix anything like a pro, but if you are just starting out, honestly, I really suggest just picking one genre to start with and mastering that genre. And then if you want to start messing around with other genres, perhaps you could just move to a similar genre within that same category. And you can even start experimenting yourself with what like subgenres work really well together. It's actually a lot of fun. Test yourself, like exploring new genres. But anyway, that does lead to crossing genres when you play live. Now, honestly, this is really going to depend on who you're playing for and what genres you want to use. So for instance, if you're playing at functions, it's usually vocal driven music and stuff that people can sing along to. And the main challenge is going to be pleasing the greatest number of people, like different age groups too at these parties, to a balance of pop, retro, hip hop, R&B, and perhaps even some commercial dance music. But when playing in clubs, you're going to want to find out what that club specializes in. And let's say you're playing at a niche club, okay? That means they're probably designated to a specific genre. So for instance, techno, trance, hardstyle, you're going to want to stay true to that genre, okay? But when playing commercial genres like tech house, you probably have a little more freedom, and you could also dabble into some similar genres like bass house, and perhaps even do like, commercial mashups, or either pre-produce mashups or create your own on the fly using acapellas, which is a lot of fun. But I guess all I'm saying is, if the crowd is commercial, do your best to keep things familiar and fun, okay? Yet if the crowd is niche, well, you're gonna wanna play to that niche, but knowing the difference is gonna come down to going to events or listening to what other DJs are playing, both online and at events as well, and get inspiration, and follow your intuition as well. So if it was me starting out, after forming some goals that excite me, even if it's just learning for the sake of learning a new skill, I would select one genre to start with, and I'd master that genre before moving to a similar subgenre. And only once you're feeling confident with that category, I would then move to the next category with the goal of being able to mix all three categories of music confidently. Now, I get it, okay, 100%, okay? Let's say you're a techno DJ. Why learn to mix hip hop or vice versa? But the truth is, mixing hip hop and all vocal driven music requires quicker transitions to avoid vocals on vocals. And often these tracks, the vocal driven stuff, may have shorter intros to work with. So that's going to involve looping the intro to give yourself more time to do a clean mix, okay? Now, sure, you may not always need those skills when mixing the deeper kinds of house, but trust me, there will no doubt be a time when knowing how to do quicker, punchier mixes will be to your benefit. Anyway, I don't mean to plug the course so much, but I do love it. I love the feedback I get from all of my students, and I love how much momentum all my students are building. Even this morning, right, I woke up, I received a text from one of my students called Pashelle, okay, saying she just scored her first festival gig. Now, I'll put a link into the description below so you can follow and support her on her journey. But honestly, I'm getting messages like that all the time, and it blows my mind. And I guess all I'm saying is I am super proud of the course, and also the fact that my complete package covers everything you'll ever need to DJ every single genre or on any type of DJ gear, as I have deep dives into how to mix all three categories, and then how you can start applying those skills to whatever your preferred genre is. And then the advanced performance pack and creative mixing sections, honestly, they'll even take your skills even further, like the effects and 3-deck stuff there. It's really, really crazy, and which making your mixes exciting. So if that sounds good to you and you feel you'd benefit from a more organized approach and some fresh inspiration, and even a bit to be part of the community, I'll put a link to the Club Ready DJ course in the description below. Anyway, just one last thing about playing live. Every beginner I've ever taught always gets daunted by the idea of actually playing in front of people, okay? And they often come to me and they say things like, I'm only learning to DJ for a creative outlet, and they also express that they have no interest in playing in front of people. And 100% I get it, okay? Learning to DJ just to have fun and connect with music, it's as good enough a reason as any. But the funny thing is, right, once my students are confident behind the decks, which only takes a few weeks, okay, they all get the itch to play live, and when they do, man, they're hooked, okay? There's adrenaline, it's really cool. So don't be surprised if your goals start to get a lot bigger as you begin to feel more confident behind the decks. Now on that, if you are already a Club Ready student and you want to get more opportunities to share your sound, you're in luck, as our community provides a few platforms for DJs to get experience playing through the Club Ready radio station, okay? So just go, if you log into the course, just see Tribe at the top, go check out all the information. So we have Club Ready Radio, thank you for all the people involved in putting that together, Dave, Tim, all the people there. Club Ready streaming events, and we've even got some students now running events, mainly in the UK and the US. And the good news is they're taking a lot of the Club Ready students with them, which honestly, that blows my mind. So if you are already part of the Club Ready tribe, a huge shout out to you, as no doubt, I feel our community is second to none, and it's attracting some really wonderful people. And honestly, I've made some lifelong friends in that group. So thank you for being part of that. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't already, please comment, like, and subscribe to help the channel thrive. And if you're already a student, please, share your experience, and, just in the comments below, let people know what you think about it, okay? So I'm sure people might appreciate a second opinion, not just me pushing it. And one last thing, I guess I've come back from Thailand, and I'm thinking about sharing this story. I've got a scar, and each scar comes with lessons. And so let me know if you want a video, like a personal development style video, in the comments. And if you're new to this channel and not used to the personal development side of my channel, I'll link in my recent video where I compared being a great DJ to being great in bed. Okay, I don't know, man. Anyway, I just share myself, okay? But in truth, that video scared the hell out of me to post. But the personal comments, I've received since that video made it well worthwhile, as I realized so many people in this community are way more alike than I could have ever imagined. So a huge thank you for your support. And I'm excited to be teaching you, and I'm also learning from you at the same time. It's a really wonderful journey. Anyway, thanks guys. See ya.